Sport is an honest thing the vast majority of the time. Nowadays, people get tested for drugs, influential gear, and of course, any other way of cheating. However, there are definitely ways to fly under the radar and cheat. So stay tuned to today's video as we discuss the top 10 greatest sports cheaters of all time. Number 10. Canada. Here at number 10, we have a Canadian sprinter by the name of Ben Johnson, who was disqualified from the 1988 100-meter race at the Seoul Games. He was disqualified after a post-race drug test revealed that he was using steroids. This just shows how seriously the sport takes cheating, as drug tests are a massive part of the sport nowadays. Every athlete goes through a rigorous testing period to prove that they aren't on any influential drugs, especially steroids. Number 9. Patriot Games. During the year 2007, the New England Patriots were caught videotaping the New York Jets' defensive coaching signals. This was orchestrated by Bill Belichick. This was titled Spygate and set off an insane media frenzy that tarnished the Patriots' record. This is one of the worst controversies in the history of the sport and is still one of the most influential pieces of cheating in sports history. Number 8. Rosie was caught red-handed. 1980 saw Rosie Ruiz win the Boston Marathon in the female category in just under 2.5 hours. However, it was later revealed that she had disappeared into the crowd and showed up halfway through the last mile of the race. She qualified for the New York City Marathon as she took the subway during the race. She was disqualified for all of this, but is not forgotten as an innovator during cheating. Before it was pointed out that she had cheated during the Boston Marathon, Rosie Ruiz was helmed as the fastest woman alive. She was given the famous laurel wreath and lauded as the fastest woman in Boston history. What a crazy series of events, and was a crazy way to be caught cheating. Number 7. Yellow Coward. Lance Armstrong was at one point the most influential cyclist in the world. He had won many races and had become very popular amongst the cycling and sporting community. So when it was revealed that the entire time he had been doping whilst on his bike, the sporting world went crazy. The announcement did not go down well, as he was denying it the entire time. But in the end, Lance Armstrong had to surrender his yellow jersey. Number 6. Marion Jones is a man? The title of this one might sound a bit crazy, but it actually makes a lot of sense when we explain what happened. Marion Jones had won 5 medals at the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, but agreed to forfeit all of the medals and prizes dating back before the event, after she revealed she took performance-enhancing drugs. Many suspected her of taking these drugs, as people around the stadium called out that Jones was looking more and more like a man. It turned out that Marion was taking testosterone and performance-enhancing drugs that slowly changed the way she looked. This was a terrible situation and shows just how far people will go to cheat in sports. Number 5. Break a leg. This is one of the craziest and most influential cheating moments in sports history. This is obviously the case of Tonya Harding. We don't know exactly what she was thinking, but hiring someone to break her rival's leg with a baton was an awful idea. Nancy Kerrigan's leg was destroyed during the incidents, and Tonya Harding was eventually discarded from the world of ice skating. We could go into much more detail on this incident, but just know that it's definitely one of the most influential moments in cheating history. It definitely deserves the middle spot on this list. Number 4. Barry Juice. Barry Bonds was one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and was mostly known afterwards for his serial steroid use, as well as his perjury and obstruction of justice charges. The Giants sadly wouldn't let him go, as they occasionally employed him as an outfield target during batting practice. It's crazy that someone as popular as Barry Bonds could stoop to such a low level to further his career. It does make sense, however, as someone as influential as him definitely wanted to keep in the public eye and pursue his career even further. This is the main reason why people hop on these sort of drugs, as they want to keep going and keep bettering themselves. Number 3. Handball. In third place, we have Argentina's Diego Maradona. During the second half of 1986, there was a World Cup soccer match against England. Diego Maradona happened to perform one of the craziest acts of cheating in the history of sport and football. He was going up for a header, and the player had caught the ball in one hand and swiftly drove it straight into England's goal. The ref didn't see this, but players and spectators were more than outraged at the time, as Americans everywhere asked what the big deal was. It was crazy that he performed such a feat during such an important match for England. He will go down in history as one of the biggest cheaters in sporting history, and in football. Number 2. Dishoneshinko. In fencing, points are signaled by a light that indicates weapon-to-body contact. So when Boris Onashenko's light went on, without explanation during the fencing portion of the modern pentathlon at the 1976 Olympic Games, something wasn't right. It turned out that the Soviet had MacGyvered his epé's grip to activate the light manually. Unsurprisingly, the Soviets have no recollection of the event. Before we get into the final one, here are 2 honorable mentions. Fred Lohr's hops a ride and wins the race. This is one of the earliest known sporting cheats on record, as it took place in 1904. During the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis, Fred Lohr's finished the marathon in just under 3 hours and 13 minutes. This was far faster than any competitor during the race. It turned out that he completed the race by hitching a ride on a passing car for around 11 miles of the long race. Before the discovery of his cheating was found out, he had already posed for photos with his daughter, Alice Roosevelt, before race officials found out that cheating happened. In response to this, he received a lifetime ban, which was surprisingly lifted just after a year because he ran in the Boston Marathon in 1905. Clearly, cheating wasn't taken as seriously back then, because in today's society, someone getting a lifetime ban would stick longer than a year. The doping scandal of 1968 to 1980. Doping in sports is one of the biggest ways to cheat, and has been happening for many decades now. However, one of the biggest instances of doping happened between 1968 and 1980, when it is believed that over 10,000 German athletes were on a doping program for the Olympic Games. The East German women's swim team was the poster child for this error, as they were found to be doping in the sport. The way it was noticed at first was their mannish look from above the waist, as these doping elements had a lot of testosterone in them and would warp the body. It's crazy that this happened even back then, as nowadays, doping isn't anywhere near as popular as it once was, because testing is constant at events. Finally, we have number 1, dirty socks. Our final spot on the list of the top 10 greatest sports cheaters of all time comes in the form of the Chicago White Sox. Back in the 1919 World Series, the Chicago White Sox actually accepted money to lose to the Cincinnati Reds. This was obviously a long time ago, but was definitely considered cheating even back in 1919. They were not convicted for what happened, but banned from America's pastime. This was an awful piece of history, and just shows how back then, cheating could have gone down even worse. And that's our list of the top 10 greatest sports cheaters of all time, as well as some honorable mentions. We hope you enjoyed our list, and please let us know down below if you agree with our rankings. We definitely could have moved a few of these around, but this is what we settled on, so let us know if you agree with what we have in each spot. Also, let us know if there are any other cheating scandals that we should have put on this list. It's crazy that cheating has been going on for so long within all of these sports. Obviously, each one of these was prosecuted in their own way, but it's nuts that some of these people even attempted to cheat in such a big spot. Just look at the people cheating during World Series games or during the World Cup. It's just insane to think that they could get away with this. And that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know down in the comment section? It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye!